गिरिवर धारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल Hare Krishna. So we'll offer prayers, Prabhu. And today's verse is very, very interesting. It's very, very important also for all of us, since all of us are present in this material world, covered with lot of material elements, modes, mind, intelligence, false ego. Though we are spirit soul, but still, how we are covered up with all these things and how to get out of the identification with all these material elements we'll be discussing today. So we'll offer praise and then we'll start. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Prabhu, is my voice audible clearly? Tarun Prabhu, Puneet Prabhu, is my voice clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, usually the classes happen in one way, that is, what you call whole 1 hour, I just keep speaking, but usually that doesn't make what you call the class to go well. Rather, it just becomes kind of downloading. So usually, what I'm telling is that you will have in between interaction, I'll be asking questions. It would be nice if devotees can unmute and can answer, or even if it will also be nice if devotees can open up their videos also as such. If possible, it will be nice. So I don't want to have some kind of just downloading information, whatever I have written down on my paper upon all of you. Rather, we can have something more that by you interacting, we can make this discussion very interesting, because what you call, we are going to discuss about the fundamentals of material nature. It's more about Sankhya philosophy. It's more about the thought process, that we need to use our thought process to understand how this creation works and how the living entity is caught up in this. So it's more something related to that, and it needs the interaction between me and between all of you as such. So it will be nice if devotees can unmute in between and can what you call, speak up. Any questions, any comments, thoughts, examples that all of you want to share, it's very, very welcome, bro. I'll be very happy in between if to do that. Okay, yes, bro, is it fine, Haribo? This is a condition. Chalo, okay. So we'll go to the verse. So today we'll be discussing the verse. It's from 3rd canto, which is very, very important. Spoken, there are so many instructions spoken by Kapila Dev, answering the questions to Mother Devahuti. That is the philosophy of Sankhya in relation to Bhakti Yoga. And today we'll be discussing the chapter number 26. So it is SB 3.26.35. Yeah. Please repeat this verse, Prabhu. You can repeat this verse after me. Navasa शब्द तन्मात्रात् कालगत्या विकुर्वतः स्पर्शो अभवत् ततो वायु त्वक् स्पर्शस्य च संग्रहः. So synonyms. So since we have to read 3 verses, so we don't have on of reciting, so we'll go directly to translation. So synonyms: Nabashah, from ether, Shabda Tanmatrat, which evolves from the subtle element sound, Kalagatya, under the impulse of time, Vikurvaha, undergoing transformation, Sparshaha, the subtle element, touch, Abhavat, evolved, Tataha, thence, Vayu, air, Tvak, the sense of touch, Sparshasya, of touch, Cha, and Sangraha, perception. So devotees can just remember a few words in this, because we'll be discussing mainly about that. So here the word Tvak, or in Kannada we call it as Tvacha. Tvacha, correct? What do you mean by Tvacha, Prabhu? Anybody knows? What do you mean by Tvacha? In Hindi also they call it as skin. Yeah, it is the skin. Tvacha means it is the skin. But in subtle understanding, Tvacha is the perception of touch. Because the main function of skin on our body is to give us the perception of touch. So it's tvacha. Then sparshasya, sparsha means, anybody knows what is the meaning of sparsha?
Touch.
Touch. Touch. Sparshisudu. Neerannu sparshisudu. Sparsha means to touch. So these 2 words are very, very important, which we'll discuss today very much. Yeah, translation and purport given the Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Students can pay attention what Prabhupada has spoken about this, because half of the class will discuss the technicality of the touch, and the second half of the class will be discussing the principle Prabhu's. We will be discussing principle of touch that Prabhupada has spoken in the purport. Translation. From ethereal existence which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, and thus the subtle element touch and thence the air and sense of touch become prominent. The course of time, the subtle forms are transformed into gross forms. They become the objects of touch. The objects of touch and the tactile sense also develop after this evolution in time. Sound is the first sense object to exhibit material existence, and from the perception of sound, evolves, and from touch perception, the perception of sight. That is the way of gradual evolution of perceptive objects, and from sight comes smell, and the last element that comes from smell, that is earth. So that's how it happens. Second verse. Mrudutvam katvam shakyam ushnamivacha etat sparshasya sparshatvam tanmatratvam nabashvatah. Translation and purport. Softness and hardness. So now in the second verse, what is explained is, so the characteristics of touch that we have in this world, like say for example, now on the body, what you call, I have developed the skin. So now what are the functions that the skin does in the body? Right? If I ask you, the question, what are the characteristics that the skin does? What are the benefits of skin? If I ask all of you, what will you tell, Prabhus? Yes, any answers? What are the functions of having skin on the body? Yes.
Gives you the feeling of hot and cold. Gives you the feeling of pain.
Yeah. So one is the pain. The pain that we get on the skin. That is because of that. Then the diseases, if it happens, mainly the changes that we go through, that also happens. Yes. Then. Yes.
Softness and hardness, we feel.
Yeah, we feel hardness and softness. Yes, this is also one of the very, very important. Like for example, if you go to market to purchase, like say for example, you want to purchase muskmelon, right? Now, if you want to purchase it, you just don't see and do that. You will also touch it. Correct, na? So now you get to know whether the fruit is proper or not, whether it is ripened or not ripened, mainly by touch. So here you examine it by the softness and hardness. If say, for example, if it is very, very hard, you get to know that, like, for example, now tomato cost is very, very high. Say, if you want to purchase tomatoes, you are really very, very, what you call, you're very much seeing whether the tomatoes are proper, whether it is ripened or not. Because now one tomato costs 10 rupees. So you'll see whether it is properly ripened or not. So how do you get to know that? By touch. Correct? No? Because the softness and hardness is determined by the touch. Yes. Any other answers? Any other thing? Any other more? Yes,
Provide
Puneet, bro?
protections, Prabhu, from
It also gives you a comfort.
Proji, I could not hear you, Proji. Uttam Damodar Proji.
It also gives the sense of comfort. Say when somebody is not feeling so good about it or not feeling very well, you touch them and comfort them.
Yeah, yes. This is like say emotional wise. When we give touch, it gives feeling of emotion. That's what you're telling, Proji. It gives sense of feeling of
Yes,
comfort.
Yes.
That's true. Yes. And what Puneet Prabhu also was saying, it gives protection. So skin, there is so much of science behind the skin, that is, dermis, epidermis, and it has got so many glands, that so many things. So that is with respect to the gross material element, the skin has, so that gives protection mainly. So now we will see today about the subtle. So now in this verse, what we're discussing now, this is something very important. So where Prabhupada gives the understanding of what are the functions it does as per science. Translation. Softness and hardness and cold and heat are the distinguishing attributes of which is characterized as a subtle form of air. So the subtle form of air, what it does in the body is mainly 4 characteristics is what is given here: softness, hardness, cold, and heat. And we can observe in our own body, right? Because of the movement of air, what happens? Our body also undergoes a lot of changes, which I'm going to show you a video in the coming time, that how the body over a period of say 50-60 years, the same face which we have, but by the movement of the air, say the form of pranavayus or in the form of elements inside the body, what happens is it undergoes change. But the problem is we don't see that because of the illusion, because of ignorance. We don't see that, and we get lost in ignorance. So that's why in the first, second, and third verse of this chapter, Kapila tells what are the benefits of learning this knowledge. So usually when we read this second canto, third canto, it looks very, very like so much of technicality, to understand. But actually, if we understand the creation of this material world, Kapila tells 3 benefits which we will see in our discussion. Yeah, but tangibility is the proof of form. So in actuality, objects are perceived in 2 different ways. They are either soft or hard, cold or hot. So any material object in this world has 2 what you call tangible ways it can project itself. One is it's either hot or cold, or soft or hard. And I give the example of purchasing vegetables. So we see whether it is tangible or not, mainly on these terms. Next, this tangible act of the tangible is the result of the evolution of air, which is produced in the sky. Sky is ether. 37 also.
Hare Krishna.
Chalanam.
Prabhu, your voice is getting stuck in the middle. I don't know whether it's happening for others or not.
Is it
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, it's getting stuck.
Looks
bit,
like, yeah, it is the connectivity problem which probably may be causing it.
Yes, just 1 minute, please. I'm just changing my network. Just a minute, bro. I'm switching over the. You're able to hear me? Sure.
Yes, Prabhu. I think
It's clear?
clear. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Chalanam yuhanam praptir netatvam dravya shabdayo sarvendriyanam atmatvam vayo karmabhi lakshanam. Translation: the action of the air is exhibited in movements, mixing, allowing approach to the objects of sound and other sense perception, providing for the proper functioning of all other senses. Purport: we can perceive the action of the air when the branches of tree move, or when dry leaves on the ground collect together. So now you see, till say 36, we discussed what are the functions in the body that happens due to the movement of air. That is especially the touch. So now here it's given what all the actions does in the external world, which we can perceive that yes, it's because of the movement of air, the touch sensation, and the activities that the air does in the world, that is given here. So that is few characteristics that's mentioned here. Similarly, it is only by the action of the air that a body moves, and when the air circulation is impeded, this is a result. And we know that in the body there are 3 elements as per the Ayurvedic science, that what you call the body functions, that is kapha, vata and pitta. So these three things, what you call, if we see, it's again mainly based upon the vayu element that's present inside the body. So whenever say the vayu is improper, there is imbalance in these three things: kapha, vata and pitta. So usually if we see here vata, it's directly dependent upon the air element. So it's a science in itself how it happens as such here. Paralysis, nervous breakdowns, madness and many other diseases are actually due to an insufficient circulation of air in the body. I think we have Uttar Damodar Prabhuji here. Prabhuji will be able to give better understanding upon this. How it happens because of the improper, the movement of air in the body. Yeah. In the Ayurvedic system, these diseases are treated on the basis of air circulation. If from the beginning one takes care of the process of air circulation, such diseases cannot take place. From the Ayurveda as well as from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is clear that so many activities are going on internally and externally because of air alone. And as soon as there is some deficiency in the air circulation, these activities cannot take place. Here it is clearly stated, Netratvam Dravya Shabdayo, our sense of proprietorship over action is also due to the activity of the air. If the air circulation is stifled, we cannot approach a place after hearing. If someone calls us, we hear the sound, but because of the air circulation, if somebody calls us, we hear the sound because of the air circulation. And if we approach that sound or the form from which sound comes, it is clearly said in this verse that all these are all movements of the air. The ability to detect odors is also due to the action of the air. Yes. So there are many devotees present here. So I seek blessings from all of you. Many of you have been practicing Krishna consciousness for many years. Maybe all of you can do to subject matter very nicely, but because of the situation that I was put in, so devotees seniors asked me to speak upon this. So if I commit any mistakes, so I ask all of you that you have got all the right to correct me and say if something which is related to all of us comes when we speak can be accepted. Can all of you pray also that I also get realized in this? Yes. So now firstly we will discuss why we have to learn these things, why so much about creation is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So we see many stages in the Bhagavatam. The creation has been spoken, right? What you call Parikshit Maharaj, which he has only 7 days to live. 7 days again and again is asking question about creation. Why? What is it as such, which is very important for a devotee, for a sadhaka, as all of us, to know how the creation happens. Many times, for example, if I look at myself, the first reading of Srimad Bhagavatam when I was doing, literally never I understood what is there in second and third canto. Correct. Even like why what is this so much air, sound, ether, touch. It's very difficult to understand also. Not me, this is realization of Uddhav, which he tells in the 11th canto in the 22nd chapter or 23rd chapter. He tells, oh Lord, it's very difficult to understand this how the soul is identifying with the material element. The question that he asks is, oh my dear Lord, we find the living entities in this material world thinks himself non-different from material nature, and the material nature also appears to be what you call I myself. I mean, the soul also feels that he is the material nature, and material nature also what you call looks as if it is the whole and soul. So it's very difficult to understand. Krishna tells, yes, that's true. Again, the makes it very clear giving the example of Avanti Brahman. How many of you heard the story of Avanti Brahman, Prabhus? Avanti Brahmana, where he was a rich merchant. Then what you call, he was so conjuice, used to not give money to anyone. How many of you have heard this Avanti Brahman story? Yes. What about others? If yes, I mean, you can put in chat or you can raise your hand. Something close. If you have heard about Avanti Brahmana. Oh, okay. So many of you have not heard the story of Avanti Brahmana. That's okay. Then I think I have to give something more about that. Yeah. So here, the story is specifically spoken by Krishna to make understand how we have to get separated from the identification with material elements as such. So this is not so easy to understand. So we have to be very, very careful in understanding these things. So here today we are discussing about touch. Mainly these three verses talk about how the sense of touch develops. So let us go to second canto little bit to see how this sense perception of touch develops. So this is from second canto, 10th chapter. And even in third canto also, what we are discussing now, it is also given very nicely in Subodhini to make it understand. Yeah. So see here. The sound is the tanmatra of ether. So usually by sound, like for example, now if I glorify, like say for example, I spoke about tomato. Tomato is very, very costly in the market. So now because I'm speaking, I'm producing sound of the sense object called tomato. What is happening through the ether? The information about the object is being conveyed to all of you. Correct? No? So it's becoming a picture in the form. It's mainly because of sound. And now what you call, because the space, see, ether is not different from space. So now because of the space that is there around me, around you, so what is happening is the information is getting passed on. So that's what the function of ether, which has been discussed already in the previous. What is the thing is, so now from this ether, the next subtle element develops, that is touch. Right? So now the touch four characteristics are there, and the what you call the element, the gross element of the subtle element, that is touch, that is air. So the gross element of touch is air. So what are the functions that the air does? It's moving, mixing, leading sense object to senses and giving life to senses. So like this, the creation goes on till the earth. So now if we look at these all elements, it's produced. So I want to ask question, is it produced in the mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness, Prabhus? So now you see these all elements are dead elements. They don't have life. So which mode does it belong to? Is it goodness, passion, or ignorance? Yes. To which element does it, to which mode does it belong to, Prabhus? Any idea? Anybody knows? I could not hear you, Prabhu. What is spoke?
Passion, bro.
Yes, Puneet, go ahead.
Passion.
It's in passion. Okay. Any other answer?
Ignorance, bro.
It is ignorance. So you see, what you call, Prabhu. See, in passion, intelligence gets produced. You see here, buddhi appears from false ego in rajas. So passion means what? You see this, what you call chanchalata, means it doesn't know what to do. It needs guidance. So that is coming from the mind, which is produced due to goodness. So characteristics are, it helps in asserting the nature of objects to help the senses, doubt, misapprehension, correct apprehension, and memory and sleep. So these all characteristics come in passion. And goodness means to choose whether it is right or wrong. So that is because of mind. And now, what you call the elements which make the what you call the apprehension, the doubt, memory, all this thing to become possible is done through the tanmatras or the elements. You see, even the senses also are produced from rajas. So tanmatras are dead elements. They literally do not work unless, as the last of this chapter, it is said the super soul comes in touch with them. So without them, they do not function at all. So these dead elements play a very, very major role in our life to get bound in this material world. To continue in the cycle of birth and death, these material elements, they play a lot of role because we identify with them. So let us see with the examples how these material elements bind us. You see, the example given in Srimad Bhagavatam with respect to touch is elephant. So all of you know the elephant is captured by the hunters in this material world because of the strong identification that the living entity present in the elephant has towards the sense of touch. So they bring a she elephant, which is very, very beautiful. For the he elephant, we may not understand how she elephant looks beautiful, but the he elephant knows the psychology. So the he elephant is so much hankering or identifying that it wants to enjoy through the sense of touch with the she elephant. So now the hunters dig a big pit in the ground and cover it with grasses. They cover it with grass, and the he elephant, just to want to pursue the sense of touch, it comes walking, and the she elephant pushes, touches it, pushes, and makes the he elephant to fall in ditch, to fall in the pit. And now the hunters will not give the food for 3 days, 4 days, 1 week. And when the he elephant is completely tired, is completely weak, then he is made to come out and he's captured. And whole life, poor fellow in the zoo, he has to do so many circus sitting on a table, keeping 4 legs on small, table. The elephant has to keep. And, it's made to jump from one ring to another ring. It's made to, do what all things, right? It's just because of the sense of touch. Now, if we look at human beings, they are also captured by the sense of touch so much, right? You see, the whole sense gratification, or to tell the what you call sense pleasure, is hidden in the touch. A boy, craves to touch the opposite sex, or say a person craves to touch something very, very what you call, say, soft, or something cold, something hot, and he thinks the pleasure is hidden in that. But if we observe through Sankhya, we get to know that it's just movement of air molecules. It's just movement of air. Correct. But what happens? Because of this enjoying mentality or ignorance, as Kapil Dev tells, what happens is a person completely identifies in this material world that the enjoyment is stored in touch. So now this enjoying mentality has to be ripped apart in the thought process of the living entity. So that will happen when we understand how it works. Correct, no? So usually in the body, what is there is, it's a complete, like, for example, I had been to hospital 3 days before. Now, say before going to hospital, the thought process is, oh, this body gives so much of enjoyment. Oh, what you call, somehow or other, had to protect this body. Like, for example, if you go to hospital, I had been to Manipal hospital. My God, every chamber for specific disease, it's houseful. There are no empty chairs in the hospital. I mean, all of you also would have seen that, one business that always, what you call, can improve is hospital business. Because in this material world, one thing for sure that everyone gets is disease. That is disease. So I was going to every chamber of Manipal hospital. It's full with patients. So people come there thinking that ki somehow or other, let me get rid of this disease because I cannot enjoy this material body. Somehow I want to enjoy. That is the main. I mean, apart from devotees, usually say what you call when we are there. This is how our mentality. So now when I went to hospital, the doctor brought the syringe and he took one syringe full of blood for blood report. Now, what you call, I was thinking, this is my material body. It gives me enjoyment. I have to do that for this body. I have to do this for it. But when I saw that one syringe full of blood being taken away, the question came to the mind, oh, the enjoyment which I was thinking that I'll give to this body is for this blood, which is there inside the body. Is it for the blood? Does the blood enjoy the, what you call the sun's perception of enjoyment? Correct. But when it is separated, still the mentality of enjoyment has not gone. It is still there. Correct. No? So you see what happened now when the blood, or say when any extra muscle have joined from the, it's there in the body. What happens when we remove it? We understand that, oh, actually I'm not the body. I'm something else. Correct? No? The question comes. So how do we get out of this? So unless we don't read scriptures, unless we don't read this, scriptures, especially 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 11th canto, Bhagavad Gita properly, if we don't read it properly, what happens is we may not get out of the ignorance. So what happened is, they removed a small portion of muscle from my body. Then I understood that actually this body is not the source of enjoyment that it can give to us. I'm something very, very different. So there is a beautiful example given by Lord Krishna to Uddhava. So he tells this enjoying mentality and the living entity, the relationship between both of them is like the father and a bad son. It is like the father and a bad son. So now from the father, that is the living entity, comes the bad son, right? So this whole material body is like a bad son. So now the bad son in this world does many what you call wrong activities. Maybe he goes and breaks the windows of the glass of the neighborhood, or say he may plunder the wealth of the what you call unknown people, or he may break the tooth of other children. So when these kind of activity a bad son does, what do the people do, Prabhus? What do the people do when they do it? See, if you understand this example, this one example, which is spoken by the Lord, we thoroughly understand the science of material elements and the living entity. So when a bad son does mistake in the word, what does the people do? Yes? Yes. Who would like
Punish
to?
him.
Yes, Aryan Prabhu?
Like they will punish him for.
Okay, they will punish him. They'll catch him and punish him. But you see, this bad son is a small young boy. He doesn't know what is good, what is bad. So do you think it is justice, to catch him and punish him? Who is the accountable person? Yes, Tarun?
They'll complain to the father.
They'll come to the father. See, if you break the, like for example, when you are in childhood, when you broke the glass of neighborhood house, or say if you broke the glass of a car, what you call, people come. So they will ask for the money from the bad son or from the father.
From the father.
From the father.
From the father, correct? No? Correct. So similarly, if you see, when our body, when our senses, when our sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight, then the sense of taste, when all these elements does sinful activity in this material world, when it comes in touch with the sense objects, so the laws of nature catches whom? The laws of nature catches whom? The living entity. That is the thing. So you see, for example, in this life, I do a lot of sinful activities. Then what happens? Though all the material elements die apart, but the punishment is given to the soul, that he has to take another life. I'll show you one small video which will make it clear. Prabhus, I hope all of you are able to understand what I'm discussing. I don't think so. So it's going too much, because this is all technicality, how it happens. If we understand this, then we'll be careful, to do our Mangalarati, to do our morning program very nicely. We'll be careful in in chanting our rounds. We'll be careful in how much to interact with the material world, not to interact with the material world. That's why Kapil Dev is telling in the initially itself, if somebody understands this science, you see here, what is telling is, if you understand this, we get 3 benefits. You see, these are the 3 benefits. Yeah, can somebody read this? What are the 3 benefits of understanding this? Yeah, please read, Prabhu. One of you can read.
Is freed from the influence of material modes, attains perfection of self-realization, cuts the knot of attachment to material world.
Yeah. So these are the 3 benefits of understanding this. So first is material modes. So how the 3 modes influence a person, that becomes freed of. And we see in Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter also the same sense of touch. Lord Krishna explains, Matra sparshyastu kaunteya shito ushna sukha dukkada agama apayino anitya tam stitikshasva bharata. You have to try to learn to tolerate, O Arjuna, because it comes, it goes away. So matra sparsha. So sparsha is again coming from there only. So what happened again in the 2nd chapter at the end, Lord Krishna describes about sthita prajna ka bhasha. So he describes about the qualities of sthita prajna, where is not influenced by the motions of these material elements. So the first thing. The second one is attains perfection of self-realization. That is, what you call, one becomes self-realized, is completely absorbed. So we have many examples in the scriptures, we will see. And third one is it cuts the knot of attachment to the material world. So the attachment that we have to the material world gets cut, and we become fixed to Krishna. We become fixed to spiritual world. So I'll just show you from 11th canto. This is the notes. Yeah. So see here, what you call the same question that I asked, in the initial, that Buddha asked to Krishna, that identification with the material nature don't goes to. So what is the problem is, Krishna is telling here, when the living entity passes, you see here in the previous verse, the mind appears to come into being and to suffer annihilation along with its object of perception, and thus its ability to distinguish past and future is lost. So now let us see this one example, how the spirit soul gets thoroughly cheated because of identification with the material senses, and because of that he has to again take birth and suffer in this material world. So this is a story. I hope all of you know the story of this 9/11, 9/11, if I'm not wrong, where the aeroplane crashed into World Trade Center. How many of you have seen this video, Prabhus? Where the aeroplane runs into the WTC, World Trade Center. I think it's 9/11 only. Yeah, correct. It happened in 2009 in September. No, sorry, it happened on September 9th. So it happened on 9th, November 9th. It happened. How many of you watched that video of the aeroplane running into the Twin Towers and crashing it there, and many people falling from the WTC? If you have not watched that video, you can watch it. What happens? So now one of the lady from that WTC, when she came down, crashing to the earth, because she was identifying with the body, with the material elements, and has not read Srimad Bhagavatam, or has not come in touch with the devotional service, has not come in touch with Srila Prabhupada books, what happened? She identified with the senses, and she again took birth in the next life, and able to remember that she had gone through this experience. So now, if we also don't properly understand the science of these material elements, what happens is there is a danger that if we die, like say for example, what you call say, because in Syria and Turkey, lot of earthquake happened, and the whole building crashed down. Or say in the train that recently happened in what you call, I think in Wadia, in Bihar, sorry, in Wadia, in Vadia side happened. So what you call, in train, so more than 300 people left the body. So these kind of situations can happen, even say to devotees also, correct? But devotees, why do we call him as a devotee? Is because he has this knowledge, right? You see, Parikshit Maharaj was also went through this trauma of, has to be killed, and on the seventh day the bird is going to come and kill him, right? So now how he has to get away from identification with the body. So that's why he's asking this question of material creation, because by this one can fix the mind on 10th canto. That is the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So let us see this video, Prabhu.
He screamed, and I cannot tell you the terror in his voice.
So see here, the kid has recurring nightmares about falling from a tall building. I hope all of you are able to hear the sound, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Very dramatic, frightening nightmares. Honestly, I started to think, could he have been in the World Trade Center? But there was a huge part of me that said, wait a minute, that can't be. It can't be.
We didn't show him anything. There's no way he could have known about it. It was before school. It was before preschool.
No one in my family knows anyone involved in the World Trade Center, and he's never been to New York. I noted it, but I never thought anything of it. I noted it as an autism. I just thought he had a vivid imagination. A little bit later, he became obsessed with planes.
You see,
At first, Cade was
drawings that he has drawn when he was just small, where he has never visited New York City only.
Totally petrified by the airplanes, like they were monsters. He wasn't scared of them being in the air. It's more like he was scared of where they were going.
It was obsessive. Cade wasn't just into planes, he was obsessed with planes.
Driving through downtown was hard for him. He wouldn't get out of the car and walk around. And he would ask if planes flew over downtown.
Cade is a 7-year-old now, and to this day, Cade around tall buildings is frantic.
It feels creepy. I just don't like to look up. I would not like to go in that tall building. No.
He doesn't want to be around them. He doesn't want to come close to them.
That big shiny one looks just like the Twin Tower. It brings back a lot of memories, but I'm not going in it, okay?
Claire was around 8. We decided to take a trip to Texas to visit my sister. After I bought the tickets, she decided that she didn't want to get on that plane, and she did not want to go.
Yeah, so I'll stop it here. So now you see this boy, kid, he doesn't want to go only to near to building at all, which is very, very tall, because he's afraid. Because in the past life he has fallen from the Twin Tower, so that experience is still there in his body. So now you see how the living entity is punished because of the bad sin, that is the material senses that we have upon our bodies. So that's why if we look what you call the Srimad Bhagavatam, it again and again tells that please engage your senses in the service of the Lord. And we have the very best what you call shloka given by our Ambarish Maharaj, where it tells that to please engage your karav, the hands in cleaning the temple of the Lord, in legs in walking to go to the temple, eyes to take darshan of the Lord, the tongue to glorify the Lord and to chant the glories of the Lord and to take prasadam, and the skin in touching, like say for example today's Gopal Bhatta Goswami's disappearance day. Anybody knows what is the name of the deity which Gopal Bhatta Goswami used to worship? The Lord appeared to Gopal Bhatta Goswami through, what is the name of the deity? Anybody would like to? Hare Krishna.
Radha
It's Radha Raman. You know? So beautiful it is. You see, Gopal Bhatta Goswami whole life was engaged in worshipping Radha Raman, Lal. Correct, na? So if we engage in deity worship, what happens? This sense of touch, which has the perception of softness, coldness, hard, and what you call soft. So this, when we engage in the service of deity worship, gets fully engaged. And can you think of how, like for example, for the same lectures, Prabhupada gives a lecture and Prabhupada tells Jesus Christ was crucified. No, for his hands, nails was beaten up on the cross. But he did not go through the suffering as such, because he was completely situated on the self-realized platform. Or we have very good examples, that is our Haridas Thakur. He was beaten up in the market. 22 markets he was beaten up. Again, when one is beaten up, the what you call hard beatings that come upon the skin, it's very painful. How could Haridas Thakur perceive all that? I didn't leave that. He was beaten up and he was thrown in the Ganges. But still he is completely, because they are situated on the platform of knowing that I'm different from the material elements. So you see how important it is. Because they are there on that level, they're able to practice that. And even we have many examples like Bharat Maharaj, like Jada Bharat, right? All of you know Jada Bharat was taken for Narabali by those bandits. And can you just think of, his neck was kept on the stone, or the wood. And the bandits had, raised the sword to cut off his head. But still Jada Bharat is, completely oblivious to all these things. He's not thinking, hey, I have to escape. What is the plan? He's not seeing, is there some way that I can escape? No, he's not thinking about like that. Correct. So how is that he has come to that platform where he's not at all fearful because of this? It's because he knows the science of Sankhya, because of which he's able to fix his mind on Lord Krishna. And we also have the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was being put, surrounded by snakes, poisonous snakes. But he's fixed his mind, on the Lord Narasimha. Correct? So even all of us being sadhakas, see, problem comes to us, like say, for example, one day current goes off. Like say many of you are, staying in the home, right? Say one day current goes off in the early morning. And we are thinking, oh, now current is not there. I cannot chant my rounds. Or say fan is not working. We are thinking, oh, fan is not working now. I'm going to sweat a lot. Let me, chant in the daytime, not in the morning. Or say, for example, we went for, say we go for a yatra where it is humid. There is no, AC there in the classroom. And we are thinking, okay, I think I can miss the camp, or say I can miss the yatra because there is no good facility that is there. You see how we are getting cheated by the material elements because of material identification. We are getting cheated from the spiritual process. Say there is no water, there is no hot water to take bath. There's cold water. Say if I'm not going to disease, once in a while if I take. Now, oh, okay, there is no, hot water coming. So let me not take bath. And you miss the deity worship that is there. Or say the climate is very, very cold. Now, no, the rainy season has started. It's very chill cold. It's chill cold. In Bangalore, it's raining heavily. Correct? Now there could be an excuse that can come in our mind. It's too cold. It's too, chill. It's difficult for me to get up in the morning and to chant my rounds. It's foolishness. It's a cheating actually. You see how, because of the bad son, the father has to be punished. That is the living entity. The living entity who has a relationship with Krishna is getting cheated because of this. Correct? No? So that's why it's very, very important to develop this. You see, just 1 month before, I was in Hyderabad, got to see or take association of His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj. So I saw Maharaj, discussing, just, contemplating. Maharaj does not have one leg. But when I saw, the enthusiasm, the eagerness that Maharaj has, though he does not have one leg, but he's unstoppable in executing devotional service. Or, see, we have such a vibrant example of so many spiritual masters, and the best, the best example that all of us we can see with our eyes is His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Guru Maharaj. Just see how material elements, are undergoing so many changes in the body, literally. But the Father, the living entity, is unwavering in executing devotional service. It's just fixed up in executing devotional service because they have clear understanding of that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. Correct, na? So in the Avanti Brahmana section, there's one very beautiful verse that this Avanti Brahmana, what I was telling. So this Avanti Brahmana, just taking another 5 minutes. So this Avanti Brahmana, to tell what happened was, he was a very, very rich person, having lakhs and lakhs of money. But he was very, very conjuice in wanting to save the money from the people. He used to not even give money to purchase clothes or dress, or say items, groceries in the house. He used to look at the tomato and eat rice, thinking, okay, this is tomato rice. I think, or whenever he does agarbatti, to the Lord, he shows the agarbatti to the Lord, but after that is done, he'll put off the agarbatti to save it for coming days. To that much amount he was conjuice was. Never purchase, he used to never wear new clothes, thinking if I wear new clothes, people will get to know, oh, I have a lot of money. So let me not wear new clothes, let me wear old clothes only. That much conjuice he was. But by the providence of time, everything was taken off. Everything. He got cheated. Then the family, wife and children thought, oh, he's going to become robbed of. So they took whatever money was left and they got separated from him. So now Avanti Brahmana was alone. Not having money, not having shelter, nothing he had. Then he understood, oh, how my whole life I got thoroughly cheated because of this misidentification. So then he directed his mind towards Lord Krishna. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devatatma griha karma kala. He tells, Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu manah param karanam mamananti. The only cause that I am putting suffering is mind. Because mind identifies its pleasure through the senses. Manah param karanam mamanti samsara chakra parivartayed yat. So because of this mind identifying with the senses, with the material elements, what has happened? Samsara chakra. So then after that, he recites one very beautiful verse. So we'll recite that verse and we will end it. And this verse is the verse spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he took sannyas. And this verse is called as, sannyasi verse. This verse is called as sannyasi verse because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sang it when he took sannyas, because for a sannyasi, this is very, very important. So this is from 11th canto, text chapter 23, text 27. Yeah. If possible, devotees can unmute themselves and can recite this verse. It's very, very important. It's a memorizing verse. Prabhupada has spoken about this verse a lot of times. Please repeat. Etam sa astaya paratma nishtham.
Prabhu, can you share on screen, bro?
Oh, it's not shared?
No, we are seeing one note.
Yeah. Now you're able to see?
Yes, bro.
Yeah. Please repeat this. If possible, devotees should try to recite these shlokas. By reciting shlokas, we engage our intelligence in the service of the Lord. And these all verses are spoken by Krishna through his, lotus mouth for the benefit of living entities. So it's very important, if possible, to recite the verses. Rather, Lord Krishna tells, Stavanam stutibihi mama. He tells, one should glorify me with beautiful hymns. Stavanam. Stava means shlokas. Stutibhi should be spoken. Mama of mine, not else. Yeah, please repeat. Etam sa astaya paratmanishtham.
एतां सहस्ताय परात्मनिष्ठम्
Adhyashitam purvatamair maharshibhi.
अत्यासितं
Sitam
पूर्वतमैर्महर्षिभिः
Mahर्षिभिः
Aham tarishyami durantaparam.
अहं
तरिष्यामि दुरन्तपारम्
Tamo mukundangrini shevayaiva.
तमो
नमो
मुकुन्दाङ्घ्रिणी सेवयैव.
Can anybody read the translation, please?
I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So he is telling here that after telling the shloka which I quoted before, so he's telling here, I shall cross through the insurmountable ocean of nations by being firmly fixed in the service of lotus feet of Krishna. So lotus feet of Krishna, taking shelter of lotus feet of Krishna is the only solution in this material world. And what is the result of taking, what happens by taking shelter of lotus feet of Krishna? You see here, it is mentioned, the lotus feet of Lord Krishna are like umbrella that saves one from, what you call the acid rain. That is the miseries of this world. You see here, my dear Lord, for one who is being tormented on the terrible path of birth and death and is constantly overrun by the threefold miseries, I do not see any possible shelter other than your two lotus feet, which are just like a refreshing umbrella that pours down showers of delicious nectar. So the umbrella which Lord Krishna's lotus feet is like, umbrella not only gives protection, but it also gives satisfaction. It also gives bliss by pouring down showers of delicious nectar. You see here? You see here, there's an umbrella, when there is hot summer that is there in this material world. So what happens is, if we use this umbrella, which gives the, mist and air, so comforting it is to all of us. So similarly, if we take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, then we feel a lot of satisfaction in our life. We feel a lot of blissfulness, because that is the only hope that's been given as the conclusion by those devotees in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the scriptures, and at present so many living examples that all of us have around us to show that the only shelter in this material world to escape from the onslaught of material elements, from the onslaught of material misidentification, then from ignorance, from the mind, is to take shelter of Krishna. And the best way that we all of us could take shelter of Krishna is by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the best example to utilize the touch in service of Lord, if you ask me, and since today's Gopal Bhatta Goswami's disappearance day, the best example that Gopal Bhatta Goswami has given us to engage the sense of touch is in dash. What is that, Prabhus? It is
service.
It is DT worship.
DT
worship. What are the other ways that we can engage sense of touch in devotional service? Any other ideas? Yeah?
Chanting, Prabhu. Japa.
Chanting we engage tongue directly. Then touch. I'm asking about touch.
Service, Prabhu. Temple cleaning.
Yes.
Washing utensils.
Yes, washing utensils. Yes, any other answers from other devotees? I'd like to hear from Shiv Kumar Prabhu, Santosh Prabhu. Any other answers? Other devotees also? Matajis, would like to tell some in any other ways that we can engage sense of touch in Krishna service? One thing that I said was DT worship. The other devotees are telling clean temple. Any other answers could be? Any other answers?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, offering everything to Lord Krishna and then do our service.
Yeah, offering everything to Krishna service.
Without any expectation.
Without any expectations. When we make DT plate, when we make boga, the plate, we have to touch it, correct? Na? So the sense of touch is becoming purified. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. Ganga Raju Prabhu is telling by book distribution. Yes, we catch the books, we hold the books with our senses, with the skin. It's getting purified by the touch of Srila Prabhupada books. Then, any other answers? Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. I think we should end it there. So that's the best way. So what you call, we can utilize these senses in the service of the Lord and become purified, as given example by Haridas Thakur, Avanti Brahmana, Uddhava, all of them are showing this example. So let us all, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, by engaging in devotion, let us all follow in their footsteps and make our life perfect. And at the end of the life, when death comes, these people, because of absence of devotional service, end up again coming back to life and going through these phobias that I died there, died here, that strong sense of perception that they carry in their mind. But if we develop strong perception of the senses, devotional service in our mind, and at the end when death strikes, we'll be able to remember Krishna and Mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. We'll go back to Godhead and never ever back to see this material world again. Okay, so I'll stop it here. Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah. So, any questions, Prabhus? If any 1 or 2 questions are there, we can take up, or we can end it there. Any
Hare
questions?
Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like as we were talking about Avanti Brahmana, that he regretted later. So I didn't get like what did he regret, like because he was with the family or what he was.
He neglected devotional service. He neglected that he neglected devotional service. He did not engage anyway in rendering service to Mukunda.
Instead, he wasted his time in saving the money and other things and families. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
He wasted a lot of time in misidentifying with the senses, misidentifying with the body. My own pleasure, my own senses, my I and mine, I and mine, I, mine. He spent his whole life I and mine. So now he saw Krishna.
Yes,
we'll also be able to understand when we take association strongly. We'll be able to get that realization.
And one more, you were saying about the blood was taken from the body, and we were just realizing that not this blood. So, Prabhu, this practically, and also as we were saying about the cold heat of the body and everything, like what we feel like. Practically, it's very difficult, frankly, because these are the normal. How to realize this, Prabhu? Seriously, please.
Prabhu, see what question you are asking. What you call, it's not so easy to understand what you're telling. This is the same realization what Uddhava had. Can you just think of how great is Uddhava? Correct, na? How what you call, how much he's exalted. Correct, no? Uddhava is very, very exalted. Correct.
Yes, Prabhu, yes, Prabhu, yes.
See, even Uddhava also tells us. You're able to see the screen, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can you read this? Text 61.
Prabhu, I'm unable to enlarge it. You can please read.
Yeah.
I can't see.
Soul of the universe, the conditioning of one's personality in material life is very strong, and therefore it's very difficult even for learned men to tolerate the offenses committed against them by ignorant people. Only your devotees who are fixed in loving service and who have achieved peace by residing at your lotus feet are able to tolerate such offenses. See, what you call, it's very difficult, correct? But the hope for all of us is the devotion service given by Srila Prabhupada to all of us. That is chanting, reading the scriptures. See, there are 15 things. I'll just give you the shloka number. You can read this, Prabhu. If you want to know how to get out of this, it's 11th canto, chapter 19th. I'll just show you. You can just read it with time. I can just take a screenshot of this. You can just read this. Read these things. You're able to see here? If possible, if you just try to do these things, what is mentioned.
Yes, Prabhu.
These are the 15 things Lord Krishna does. We should practice it. Or we have Nectar of Devotion 64 regulative principles. So if we just practice, these 15 things, what is being spoken here by Lord himself. This is 11th canto, 19th chapter, text 20 to 24. Text 20 to 24. Yeah. So if you just try to, practice these 15 things, So gradually the realization will dawn in our life. See, though I spoke, I also don't have realization. My God, I also, so much engulfed in these material elements. Correct? No? So this has to keep on going till the end of our life. And at the end of the life, by Krishna's mercy, we'll be able to get out. Otherwise, if we compromise, no, there is no way. Unless some mercy comes, some special mercy comes. It's not like, what you call, it may happen like that. Better we do proper homework that we are supposed to do as a living entity to escape. Otherwise, we'll be caught. And there are devotees who have taken rebirth in this material world because of wrong identity. I don't know. You may be knowing, there was one Prabhu during Prabhupada time who got attached to one Indian Mataji in the foreign land. And in the next life, again, he took birth as Mataji. And she is now disciple of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. That brahmachari who got attached to Mataji took birth as Mataji in the next life, and that Mataji looks same like that. So in the next life, that Mataji went to the Mataji whom he got attached in the previous life and begged forgiveness for the offense that he committed. And he took shelter of Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and now that Mataji is practicing devotion service very, very nicely. She participates in New York City Rath Yatras, Harinam Sankirtans very much. It's a mistake. We should not do. Okay? So I think we should end it here.
Like sound from sound ether comes, means the sound is like what we call it, true? Means it's like sense perception.
It's called as Shabda. Shabda. See, now I'm speaking to you, correct now? Shabda. You're able to hear me, right? So what is happening? You're able to hear me because it's because of the ether, it's because of the space. Say, like when I clap my hand, you hear the clap, right? So what happens when I clap? What is happening? The sound is produced, but if the space is not there, it will not travel to you. Correct, no?
Yes,
so what you call, unless because of the presence of ether, we'll not be able to hear the sound. We'll not be able to hear.
Okay.
So
yes, bro.
Ether is very important for transmission of sound.
Okay, means if air is not there, also like sound can travel with ether.
Yeah, you see, for example, now what you call in water, there is no air in the water, right? But still sound travels to that because it's a space that's required for the transmission of sound. See, now the same signals are passing through the satellite and coming, right? There are no air molecules there. But in some form, it travels and it comes back.
Yeah, got it, bro. And like you said, from ether, touch comes.
Yeah, yes.
How that is possible, bro?
So now you see again what you call. Now I spoke to you about tomato. Now, after you heard about tomato, what is the desire that you will get? You want to go and experience the tomato, right? So how will you experience it? So the next subtle matter comes, that is touch. So you'll understand about tomato by touching it. Because it has got the quality of softness, hardness, hot and cold. So you have to touch. So that is the progress, the subtle element touch comes. And from touch comes? Air comes. So now to make the touch experience, air is required. You see? So for the soul to desire, to enjoy in this material world, all these things are being created. Step by step by step by step. And the final element that's created is earth. And earth can give full-fledged sense enjoyment because it has all the other things in that. Just like number 5 has 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So similarly, earth has all these things.
But they're distinct, bro, from one another. Like earth and water and fire, these are like distinct.
Yeah, they're distinct, but when the dissolution happens back, right? So from earth again comes the previous element, that is water. See, earth is very, very gross. Ether is subtle. So what you call, when dissolution happens, from earth comes water, and again from earth, water comes fire, from fire comes the air, and from air forms ether, and from ether goes away the sound. So see, when we chant Hare Krishna, it is sound. So it's very, very subtle how it works upon us. because it's the purest form as such. It's very difficult to conceive how these all things work in there. But what we can understand is we should try to engage all our senses because all these perceptions of touch, smell, sparsha, rupa, gandha, all these things are there in us. So it has to be changed from bhoga vritti to seva vritti. That we have to understand. That we have to. And the best way that we can do is sound. That is chanting. That is what is given the solution. Okay?
Yeah, thank you, bro.
Okay, bro. So we'll end it here. So thank you very much, bro. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.